My name is Aaron Blake, and for the past 7 years, I believed I was living the dream. I had a beautiful wife, a good job in Chicago, and a little boy named Mason, who was the light of my life. At least, that's what I thought until everything fell apart, until I discovered the cruelest betrayal hidden in plain sight. I met Julia back in college. She was smart, funny, confident, everything I wasn't, but everything I needed. We started dating during our sophomore year, and within a few months, I was head over heels. She made me feel like the center of her world, and I did everything to deserve her love. We got married right after graduation, and even though we struggled financially at first, we always made it work. Or so I thought. Julia got a job at a marketing firm downtown while I started working in IT support. Things were steady. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. When Julia got pregnant 2 years into the marriage, I was ecstatic. I remember going with her to every appointment, holding her hand during ultrasounds, making late-night food runs when cravings hit. We chose the name Mason together, or at least I believed we did. "Isn't Mason such a strong name?" she had said one night, resting her hand on her belly. "It feels right." I smiled and agreed. "Yeah, Mason Blake. It sounds perfect." I didn't know then that the name meant something very different to her. The first cracks in our marriage started appearing 3 years later. Julia was distant, glued to her phone more often, staying late at work, and taking solo weekend trips under the excuse of stress relief. I asked questions softly at first, but she always had explanations. Logical ones. Believable ones. Still, something didn't feel right. I ignored it for a while, convincing myself I was just being paranoid. I didn't want to be the husband who snooped or doubted. But my gut wouldn't shut up. So one night after she went to sleep, I did the one thing I swore I never would. I looked through her phone. There wasn't much at first. No texts, no calls out of the ordinary. But then I opened her email. And there it was, a folder buried deep, titled Work Archives. Inside were emails between Julia and someone named Mason Hart. My heart dropped. The emails weren't just friendly. They were intimate. Some dated back to before our son was even born. The worst one? An email timestamped 6 months before Mason's birth. I can't stop thinking about that night. I know I'm married, but I wish things were different. If I could, I'd name my baby after you. That way, a part of you will always be with me. I stared at the screen, unable to breathe. Everything around me blurred as the truth hit like a freight train. Mason, my son, my boy, was named after the man she had been having an affair with. This wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. Rage and heartbreak twisted inside me. But I didn't confront her right away. I needed more. I needed undeniable proof, not just for myself, but because I knew she would lie her way out of it unless I corner her. So I played it cool. For 2 weeks, I acted like nothing was wrong. I kissed her goodbye every morning, helped Mason with his homework every night, all while secretly digging deeper. I hired a private investigator. It was expensive, but worth every cent. 3 days later, the investigator sent me photos. Julia, with Mason Hart, at a hotel, kissing, holding hands, laughing like teenagers. It wasn't just a fling, it was ongoing. That night, I sat alone in my car outside our house, staring at those pictures on my phone. My son was asleep upstairs, probably dreaming about dinosaurs or video games. And my wife was inside, blissfully unaware that I knew everything. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I came up with a plan, not just to confront her, but to expose everything in a way she couldn't deny or spin. I wanted her to feel what I felt. I wanted the truth to burn. I waited until a Saturday, when Julia's parents were coming over for dinner. They adored me, always called me the best son-in-law in the world. Julia liked putting on a show for them, pretending everything in our home was perfect. So I decided to give her a performance she'd never forget. We sat down to dinner, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, the works. Mason was laughing with his grandparents, Julia smiling like she was queen of a happy castle. Halfway through the meal, I cleared my throat. "I have a little surprise," I said, standing up. "A family video." I made something for all of us. Julia looked confused. What are you talking about? I just thought it'd be nice to look back on some memories, I said, walking to the living room and turning on the TV. A little slideshow. You'll love it. Everyone followed. I pressed play. The screen showed pictures of our wedding, our baby shower, Mason's first birthday. Julia smiled, eyes misty with nostalgia. Then came the twist. A screenshot of her email with Mason heart. Another. And another. Then a photo, Julia, with Mason heart, kissing outside a hotel. Her face turned white. What is this? Her mother whispered. The slideshow ended with the final slide. Mason Blake, named after her lover, not her husband. The silence was deafening. Julia stumbled backward, her hand over her mouth. Aaron, Don't, I said, holding up my hand. Don't insult my intelligence with a lie. Her parents were frozen in shock. Mason, thankfully, had gone to his room earlier and missed the entire thing. I walked over to her, looked her in the eye, and said calmly, You've been cheating on me for years. You named our son after the man you've been sleeping with. And I stayed up nights thinking I was the crazy one. She broke down, trying to explain, trying to cry her way out of it. But it was too late. I had already called a lawyer. I had already decided I was done. The divorce was messy. She tried to fight for custody, but when the emails and photos came up in court, she lost credibility fast. I got primary custody of Mason, and she now sees him every other weekend. As for Mason, he doesn't know the full story yet. I've decided to tell him when he's older, when he's ready. I've thought about changing his name, but I realized something important. Mason is my son. He may be named after a mistake, but I won't let that define him. I'm raising him to be better, to be honest, to never treat people the way his mother treated me. It took me a long time to heal. There were nights I'd sit alone in the living room, wondering how I missed the signs. But slowly, with time, therapy, and the love of my son, I began to rebuild. Now, every time I look at Mason, I no longer see betrayal. I see resilience. I see a future. And I see a father who refuses to let the past dictate the kind of man he'll be. I exposed my wife's lies in front of her entire family, and I walked away with my dignity intact. Sometimes, the truth hurts, but it also sets you free.